This is bef- this is
हाँ
before we bring in the third aspect of the Purusha, which is the Purushottama,
हाँ
right? So the fact that even in the Sankhya, when we went through, he says both these states are available. One, and the two birds explanation that you gave when you read out both the paragraphs very beautifully explains the two states. One, wherein there is an engagement and you eat the fruits, and the other one is the silent witness consciousness, right? So it says both these states are available. Now, we are all very, very accustomed to and engaging with eating the fruits and that state. The other state that he talks about of the witnessing consciousness, the fact that he says both the states are available to us. So if you could just shed some light as the individual as to how do we engage to identify that state and position ourselves in that state, because he says look, both these states are available to the individual. As we are so accustomed to being in the lower state and being the state which is eating and engaging with the fruit, so is the obvious other state, which is the silent witnessing consciousness. But very few people actually accustom ourselves and engage and station ourselves there. So if you could just shed some light as to
how
how
to
do
reach
we.
there basically.
Yes.
So the second chapter of the Gita, it ends with the word Brahmi Sthiti. And that Brahmi Sthiti is another term for Akshara Purusha. So basically by following what is there in the second chapter, the Buddhi Yoga and Karma Yoga ka first step, etc. Sthita Pragya Vara Sara jo hai, the second chapter kind of culminates in that. If you
Okay,
want to
because
say that way, practicing the witness consciousness, that is one way of reaching there. So if you meditate, then you see your thoughts and try to identify yourself as the witness of the thoughts. Basically, Akshara means what? That means the immutable. That's the English translation of the word. So by basically identifying in yourself that thing which is unchanging.
right.
At some point or the other in life, we do feel now or have felt ke, behind all the phenomena that is going on in the life on the surface, there is something which is the same throughout all this. There is something in us which we feel is the same throughout all this. That is the Akshara. So,
Correct. And
yeah.
Anmol bhai, we, as you said, when you meditate, when you see and experience that aspect of the witnessing consciousness, what brings us back? Because the challenge is that even if you are able to get a glimpse of that, the
A
reason you
glimpse
come
is
back,
fine,
and
but
this is where
that's what
the
glimpse is
the
fine,
reason you
but
come.
glimpse is fine, but what the word that is used in the Gita sixth chapter is Arurukshor Muner Yogam, sixth chapter के beginning में. So as you are climbing the hill of yoga, so as you are climbing the hill of yoga, इसीलिए इसको कूटस्थ भी बोलते हैं. Akshara is also called कूटस्थ. कूटस्थ, कूटा means hill, जैसे चित्रकूट हेमकूट वैसे. स्थ means stationed. So कूटस्थ literally means stationed on the top of the hill, like that. So what happens when you are climbing a mountain? You climb, you can get some glimpse of the peak that can give you some joy, some sense or feeling of it. Okay? But since it is a steep sort of slope, you tend to slip back, na? Ye hai.
Right,
That's the
right, right.
challenge. That is the
And
image
this
given in the
steep,
Gita.
correct. And the slipping back, and this is where I'm sure the Gita gives crystal clarity, is the reason you slip back is because there is some attachment to something, that because we've so identified
Yeah,
myself as yogi, the
yeah,
mind body
correct,
complex. There
correct.
is something that is so important. It could be different things for different people, and
Basically,
that thought immediately makes you back to believing that you're yogi, and you come
something,
back into that mind body complex. Your thought pulls you and you
correct,
come back, so you slip back from that status which you may
correct.
identify
In,
as a presence in you, but you come back to the mind body reality. So it is the ego which has the power to, because if it wasn't an identification with the mind body complex as ego, then it becomes a headless, because the
Correct.
head and the controlling fabric is the ego. So does
Correct.
the Gita give clarity that if it
You
is
see,
not the ego, then
it
you
is
would
going to be
be
there.
easier?
Abhi to hum Sankhya and Yoga में we have just mentioned the principles ना, and sort of we have mentioned कि पहले क्या होता है फिर क्या होता है, but अभी वो आना बाकी है. I think it will come in the next chapter, Sankhya, Yoga and Vedanta, wherein basically he explains how the Purusha gets identified with the ego and then with the objects of the senses and the pleasures of the senses, etc., and how he gets basically, if you want to put it that way, bound in the play of the Prakriti. तो वो भी सारा का सारा आने वाला है. I don't think it's
Okay.
there in this chapter. It is there in the next chapter.
But Anmol
And
bhai,
then,
what I would like to just add to what Yogesh bhai is saying, or rather take it in a very different way, not just meditating. If you can do the witness consciousness while in action,
हाँ,
while in samsara, then that is the real thing, no?
that is correct. वो तो
That is
और
the
भी
real
बात
thing.
की स्टेज है. वो तो glimpse की बात कर रहे हैं. You are
हाँ,
talking about remaining in that despite everything.
प्रैक्टिकली हम करना ही
Correct.
पड़ेगा, नहीं
Correct.
तो हो ये
Correct.
मतलब ही नहीं है. सब मेडिटेशन में करके क्या मतलब है?
Correct. But इसके लिए चलिए मतलब this may not be the first step possible for everybody. That's
हाँ,
why, you know, गीता मतलब एक तो आपको सबसे पहले ज्ञान देती है कि आप basically the fear goes away completely when you know that you are there forever, right? उसके बाद वो कर्म योगा का first step देती है, because no matter what you cannot stay without doing action. नहीं कश्चित् क्षणमपि
correct.
जातु तिष्ठति अकर्मकृत्.
Hmm.
So that being the case, what should you do? Then that 2.47 comes. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते
हाँ,
मा फलेषु कदाचन.
correct, correct.
So that's actually the first step. In a very rough way, if you want to put, then the three yogas. So the first yoga happens in the sphere of the Kshara Purusha, the Karma Yoga, wherein you are identifying yourself as the Karmi, okay, as the worker. The second yoga, basically, Akshara Purusha, you are stationed in that Jnana Sthiti. You are in that, knowledge. Ki I am the unchanging and all that, right? Ahankara vimoodatma karta hamiti manyate. I am not the doer, etc. And then the third thing, the Purusha Uttama, that cannot be properly experienced, dwelt in, or tasted, etc., without the element of Bhakti Yoga. So there is a clear mapping between the three yogas and the three Purushas that way. This is how the yoga basically expands itself like that. But I mean, as Sri Aurobindo cautions us that it should start with Karma Yoga, and matlab, that's the ideal way to go about it, so that you don't lose your grip over the world.
Correct. But exactly. And so that is why I think Mother or Sri Aurobindo talks about double concentration.
हाँ,
You have to be
ठीक है.
outside as well as inside, both.
Yeah. ठीक है. So we'll start now.
Yeah.
Archana has not joined. Acha, Monday ko she is not able to join till half an hour. Okay. We had read this, and the next one, we can finish this chapter today actually. Somebody should read. Shivaji, would you like to read it?
Sure.
Please. This one, to these two, the Gita.
To these two, the Gita, developing the thought of other passages in the Upanishads, adds yet another, the Supreme, the Purushottama, the highest Purusha, whose greatness all this creation is. Thus, there are three, the Shara, the Akshara, the Uttama. Shara, the mobile, the mutable, is nature. Subhava, it is the various becoming of the soul. The Purusha here is the multiplicity of the divine being. It is the Purusha multiple, not apart from, but in Prakriti. Akshara, the immobile, the immutable, is the silent and inactive self. It is the unity of the divine being, witness of nature, but not involved in its movement. It is the inactive Purusha, free from Prakriti and her works. The Uttama is the Lord, the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Self, who possesses both the immutable unity and the mobile multiplicity. It is by a large mobility and action of his nature, his energy, his will and power, that he manifests himself in the world, and by a greater stillness and immobility of his being, that he is aloof from it. Yet is he as Purushottama above both the aloofness from nature and the attachment to nature. This idea of the Purushottama, though continually implied in the Upanishads, is disengaged and definitely brought out by the Gita and has exercised a powerful influence on the later developments of the Indian religious consciousness. It is the foundation of the highest Bhakti Yoga, which claims to exceed the rigid definitions of monistic philosophy. It is at the back of the philosophy of the devotional Puranas.
Right.
Should I continue?
Yeah, I think Sarita, would you like to read the next one? Sarita is not responding.
Yeah. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. Yeah. Okay.
The Gita is not content either.
The Gita is not content either to abide within the Sankhya analysis of Prakriti, for that makes room only for the ego sense and not for the multiple Purusha, which is there, not a part of Prakriti, but separate from her. The Gita affirms, on the contrary, that the Lord by his nature becomes the Jiva. How is that possible? Since there are only the 24 principles of the cosmic energy and no others. Yes, says the divine teacher in effect, that it is perfectly valid account for the apparent operations of the cosmic Prakriti with its three gunas. And the relation attributed to Purusha and Prakriti, there is also quite valid and of great use for the practical purposes of the involution and the withdrawal. But this is only the lower Prakriti of the three modes. The inconscient, the apparent, there is a higher, a supreme, a conscient and divine nature. And it is that which has become the individual soul, the jiva. In the lower nature, each being appears as the ego. In the higher, he is the individual Purusha. In other words, multiplicity is part of the spiritual nature of the one. This individual soul is myself. In the creation, it is a partial manifestation of me, Mamai Vamsha, and it possesses all my powers. It is witness, giver of the sanction, upholder, knower, Lord. It descends into the lower nature and thinks itself bound by action, so to enjoy the lower being. It can draw back and know itself as the passive Purusha, free from all action. It can rise above the three gunas and, liberated from the bondage of action, yet possess action, even as I do myself. And by adoration of the Purushottama and union with him, it can enjoy wholly its divine nature.
Yeah, the last is a very small this thing. Harish, are you there? Would you like to read? Harish?
Yeah, I can read, yes.
Yeah. Such is the analysis.
Such is the analysis, not confining itself to the apparent cosmic process, but penetrating into the occult secrets of the superconscious nature. Uttamam Rahasyam, by which the Gita founds its synthesis of Vedanta, Sankhya, and Yoga, its synthesis of knowledge, works, and devotion. By the pure Sankhya alone, the combining of works and liberation is contradictory and impossible. By pure monism alone, the permanent continuation of works
Can't hear you. मेरा गया क्या? Am I audible?
dissipates and the yoga system of the Gita triumphs over all these obstacles.
Okay, I had lost you for a few seconds. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Something कुछ blip होगा connection में. Yeah.
But
So
we all
basically,
heard Harish. Yeah.
okay, okay. So basically, last time we had read about the two Purushas and the two passages, मतलब the two verses, basically the two passages I should rather say from the two Upanishads जिसमें वो किया था. अभी वो Sri Aurobindo is completing that thought kind of. He will add the third Purusha, that is the Purusha Uttama, Purushottama, and he will add the second Prakriti given in the Gita. Till now we have spoken only of the lower nature so far in this chapter. Okay, that is what is constituted of the 24 tattvas. So to these two means the Akshara and the Akshara, the Gita developing the thought of other passages in the Upanishads. So this is the footnote over here. Purushaha Aksharat Parataha Paraha. This is from the Kathopanishad. Exact मुझे reference निकालना पड़ेगा. Purushaha Aksharat means than the Akshara. Panchami ekvachan. Paratah Paraha. Paratah Paraha means higher than that. So although the Akshara is supreme, there is a supreme Purusha higher than it, says the Upanishad. But that's it. It does not speak about it clearly or dedicate a whole chapter to it or make it the central point of its teaching. That was left for the synthesis of the Gita to do. Okay, that much is clear. So to these two, the Gita developing the thought of other passages in the Upanishads adds yet another, the supreme, the Purushottama, the highest Purusha, whose greatness all this creation is. How all this creation is his greatness, that is explained by 75 examples of vibhutis, illustrated, I should say, in the 10th chapter of the Gita. When he says that, how am I supposed to meditate on you? How am I supposed to see you, basically, right? So he gives that all those 75 examples. So, like, just as a practice, some people may be already doing it. I mean, one could just read the 10th chapter of the Gita every day and, basically in day-to-day life around us or thinking of historical figures, this, that, connect and see that greatness of the divine everywhere. That is one way. Sri Aurobindo's poem, for example, Who? So many of his poems, uh, uh, Because Thou Art, there is a very beautiful sonnet. Who is another poem, in the blue of the sky, in the green, etc. So all these things. But in the context of the Gita, one of the main places where it is given is that. Another where ekdam se wo explosion hota hai sort of the display of the greatness of the divine. But there it is in a more extra cosmic sense, that is the Vishwarupa. बट वहां पे वो आपको यहाँ के जैसे यहाँ पे वो हिमालय बता रहे हैं, समुद्र बता रहे हैं, अश्वत्थ वृक्ष बता रहे हैं, so many things among historical figures. So that 10th chapter that way is something very, very practical. How to meditate on the greatness of the divine. And one thing what that does also is that sometimes in people whom we regard as purely negative, first of all, there is no such thing as purely negative in the world. Okay. Everything is a shade of gray. More black, more white. That is the only difference, right? So even in them, the extra energy, the tejas basically, that balam or whatever, even in so-called asuric figures, right? उसमें भी वो उसकी greatness दिखाई देती है. I mean, this should be taken with a pinch of salt, unless one becomes an asura by following this. But like in one aphorism, he says, if I cannot be Rama, then I would be Ramana, for he is the dark side of Vishnu. So it's a very interesting aphorism. आपका mind एकदम खुलता है उससे. But basically, whose greatness all this creation is. जिसके अंदर जो भी greatness आती है, it comes from the Purushottama. यद यद विभूति मत सत्वम श्रीमदूर्जित वेवा तत्तदेवावगच्छतम मम तेजोंश संभवम. This is the, I think, second last verse of the 10th chapter. Wherever you see any great energy, any great manifestation of the divine, any greatness, wherever you see, basically, uh, you should understand that this is the greatness of that one divine, of that Purushottama. Okay. Yeah. So thus there are three: the Kshara, the Akshara, the Uttama. Literally English में बोलेंगे the changing, the mutable, the unchanging, the supreme. Okay. Kshara, the mobile, the mutable, is nature, Swabhava. It is the various becoming of the soul. What the soul becomes. In this birth, you have a certain Swabhava. In a previous birth, you may have had another kind of Swabhava. In a subsequent birth, you may have another kind of Swabhava. That way.
Anmol bhai, this
Anmol
word
bhai,
My
swabhava in
internet
this
connection
place,
is unstable. Am I audible?
yeah.
Yes, you are very audible.
yeah, Anmol bhai, I was saying this use of the word swabhava at this sentence predominantly indicates that the changing is predominantly either sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic. Is that a right interpretation?
That actually I am not entirely sure, because when he says here, Swabhava, Kshara, the mobile, the mutable in nature, Swabhava, it is the various becoming of the soul. Swabhava, it's more here ki what the self has become, basically. You could say, matlab, it's part of nature only, and the Kshara Purusha is involved in Prakriti, so yeah, Trigunatmika, the Tamasic, Rajasic, or Sattvic, yeah, essentially.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Dhaval bhai?
हाँ, मेरा ये प्रश्न रहेगा because and this is exactly what I was thinking early on, that you just mentioned कि स्वभाव हर life में अलग हो सकता है because it the becoming of the self.
Yeah.
Now, is Kshara then the psychic being which we have studied? Because it takes birth over and over again, and psychic being in different births
Actually,
will.
instead of doing a direct mapping,
हाँ,
because you are, mapping two different systems,
हाँ,
what would be matlab, more accurate that way is to see that what are the common points between these things.
हाँ. So the
So
common points, exactly, that is why I was arriving at that. The
आप
common
common
point.
point रखो, फिर उसमें आप
हाँ,
for example आप ये कह सकते हैं कि the psychic being is something that changes.
हाँ,
It
that
is something
changes.
that grows.
करेक्ट. बट अगर मदर ने आगे बस ये भी कहा है कि इस जन्म में साइकिक बीइंग को वो एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, तो अगले, फॉर एग्जांपल, इन दिस जन्म it has experienced arrogance by taking birth in rich family. Now it has never experienced humility. So the psychic being says, okay, I need to experience humility. I will take birth in a poor family.
Mother
So
herself did that actually. In this birth, she chose to be born as a commoner. Her previous birth, I mean, at least as far as I know, was that of Catherine the Great, who was one of the greatest empresses Russia has seen.
अच्छा. So then
Even
this,
their date of leaving the body is the same, 17th November.
oh, okay. That I didn't know. But what I'm trying to point at here is कि it's the same स्वभाव is changing, right, in each birth. So in that sense, this kind
आप
of.
इसको ऐसे देखो, the way
हाँ,
it is being told here, just
हाँ,
see in literally आप देखो, स्वभाव, ठीक है?
हाँ.
Swa means the self, okay?
And becoming, bhava means
Bhava means the
becoming of.
becoming. That's it.
Becoming of the self is swabhava.
Exactly. So what that soul is becoming in birth to birth, that is it. That is the Kshara Purusha.
हाँ,
And
so
Kshara, the
इसीलिए,
mutable.
हाँ, so इसीलिए मुझे इसको I'm tempted to map it to psychic being
Even I am
because
tempted. Even I am tempted, but like I have actually had a big discussion over this during the COVID period on a Telegram group.
oh,
And it was like long ago. And there is no clear thing written by Shri Aurobindo anywhere. बहुत खोजाता कहीं नहीं मिला. So there is no direct mapping like that done anywhere. So you can
I
look
see.
for the common links between them, but since they are belonging to different, I mean, systems of yoga, basically that way. तो आप बिल्कुल वैसे ना करो, इट विल बी बेटर।
ठीक है, ठीक है, नहीं मैं समझ गया, पर मुझे तो ये बहुत
इसमें भी
common
बाय द
है
वे
ना। हाँ,
आई शुड से दिस कि when you say psychic being and Sharapurusha is same, so later on in, I think when he will be commenting on the 7th chapter or something, he will say कि ये जो Sharapurusha है ना, even this basically retains that पुरुषत्व in the sense जो पुरुषा है ये इसके 3 अलग अलग poises हैं, it's one and the same thing, so you know to that extent it doesn't change. आप समझ रहे हो, वो
हाँ,
एक ही
पर
पुरुष के 3 अलग अलग पॉइज हैं. द
करेक्ट,
क्षरा पुरुषा इज सॉर्ट ऑफ द पुरुषा गेटिंग इन्वॉल्व्ड इन द प्रकृति, बट इवन दो इट डज गेट इन्वॉल्व, इट डज नॉट चेंज. वो भी वो वहां पे कहते हैं, तो देन इट बिकम्स अ लिटिल फजी कि
अच्छा अच्छा
हाउ इज
अच्छा,
इट देन इट इज बीइंग कॉल्ड म्यूटेबल क्लियरली. उसका फिर सोल्यूशन कैसे होगा? देन द सोल्यूशन विल बी, जो हमने पढ़ा था, दैट साइकिक एंटिटी. वो साइकिक एंटिटी फंडामेंटली चेंज नहीं होती. That psychic entity projects that psychic being from itself, and it is the psychic being which undergoes the change. Then what will happen? Then मतलब you know, एक जगह पे आप ऐसे तो अंदर गीता में you will be mapping it to the psychic entity, यहाँ पे you will be mapping it to the psychic being, तो वो थोड़ा सा ना confusion हो जाता है. तो doesn't
हाँ
matter. हाँ,
हाँ हाँ,
आप
नहीं नहीं,
इसको
मैं समझ गया,
आप समझ गए?
मैं समझ गया आप जो बोलना चाह रहे हो, क्योंकि इन साइकिक एंटिटी द डिवाइन स्पार्क इज
He
द
said in
सेम.
the last paragraph कि these are not 3 distinct purushas. They
यस,
are the 3 different poises of the same purusha.
even Sri Aurobindo writes no regarding psychic being, this is a poise, it's a poise in that sense.
Exactly,
So
exactly,
in psychic being, otherwise psychic being will not know itself as जीवात्मा until that thing is.
exactly.
So मुझे बहुत सिमिलैरिटी दिख रही है, इसलिए मैं ये पॉइंट.
Yeah, but
नहीं,
Anmol bhai,
ये पॉइंट गलत नहीं है.
here,
ये पॉइंट हर एक किसी को आएगा जो भी ये कंपैरेटिव स्टडी करेगा.
हाँ हाँ हाँ,
एवरीबॉडी दिस
but the
पॉइंट.
poise, when we did the psychic entity, psychic being, and the central being, this is exactly what you talked about, the self having these 3 as separate poises. And if you think about it, Akshara being the psychic entity which is unchanging, and the central being being the supreme which is presiding over this without
नहीं,
coming into the play.
सेंट्रल बीइंग कैन नॉट बी कॉल्ड द सुप्रीम फॉर द सिंपल रीजन कि द सेंट्रल बीइंग इज एन इंडिविजुअल सेल्फ. ओके, एंड द इंडिविजुअल इज अ पोर्शन ऑफ द सुप्रीम. You and I are the central being. Are you and I the Purushottama? No. The Purushottama is the divine. He is the Lord. We can identify ourselves in consciousness as the Lord, and we can grow into that Lordship consciousness. But does that mean that we become the divine? Does that mean that we become a creator of the world? No. We can
that would
create something by manifesting that divinity within us, by recovering that Soham Asmi and everything within us. We can become very powerful creators in the world. But still, do we become that supreme? No. We are,
correct.
the Gita defines us as anshas of the supreme, as eternal portions of the supreme.
Thanks.
Mamayansha, and also that means Akshara will be the Jivatman,
Yes.
the central being. Whereas
Yes, yes. उस पे फिर वही है कि पूरा for session will go in discussion in that.
नहीं
And
ठीक है, go ahead, but नहीं, because since we have read all this, it just was natural for the mind to come to this.
yeah. यहाँ पे आप बेसिकली बस इसको इस तरह लें कि how as we begin basically the evolution happens or the yoga journey begins, how the development proceeds from the kshara to the akshara to the dwelling in the Purushottama consciousness by the practice successively of karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga.
Correct.
And it's not like, if you do the second yoga, then you give up the previous one. It expands. It includes the previous one within itself. The yoga basically expands. That is how, in my understanding, it should be taken.
Makes sense. It really makes sense because you are expanding your consciousness. Ultimately, you are expanding the consciousness to embrace the entire universe within you.
Correct.
नहीं तो वो एकत्वम अनुपश्यते नहीं होगा.
Correct. Right? Okay. Svabhava, it is the various becoming of the soul. The Purusha here is the multiplicity of the divine being. The Purusha, इसमें 2 parts हैं sentence में. हाँ, अच्छा, this is all about the Kshara only. Kshara, the mobile, the mutable is nature, Svabhava. It is the various becoming of the soul. The Purusha here is the multiplicity of the divine being. It is the Purusha multiple, not apart from, but in Prakriti. ये मैंने बोला था ना, Purusha in Prakriti. So it is not apart from, but it is in Prakriti. It is there in the nature. अब ये चीज जो है वो सांख्य में नहीं है. So in Sankhya there is no concept of the Purusha being in Prakriti. अगर वो पुरुषा प्रकृति में आता है सांख्य में, तो वो उसके अंदर ईगो के रूप में आता है, अहम के रूप में आता है. The word Purusha is not then used for it any longer. Whereas the Gita gives this further clarity. It is the Purusha multiple, not apart from, but in Prakriti. Okay. Next. Akshara, the immobile, the immutable, is the silent and inactive self. It is the unity of the divine being. So one is the mobile and mutable, and that is the multiplicity, 3 M's if you want to take it that way. And the other is the silent and inactive, and it is the unity. Witness of nature, but not involved in its movement. It is the inactive Purusha, free from Prakriti and her works. It is the inactive Purusha, free from Prakriti and her works. So basically, Kshara Purusha is that poise of the Purusha which is involved in Prakriti. Akshara Purusha is the poise of that same Purusha which is free from Prakriti and her works.
So Anmol bhai, this will be the silent mind, right? That
वही
that
यहाँ
surely
लिखा है, हाँ, silent and inactive. See, when again, mind is, what is the definition of mind? At least जो traditional Vedant होता है. Mind is defined as the movement of thought, just as river is defined as the movement of water. तो अगर वो movement of thoughts रुक गया, तो वो self रहा. So when the mind is silent, it is no longer mind. Then it is called self.
okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Makes sense.
It's a terminology.
See, that's why
Okay.
he has used the word silent and inactive self.
Acha, acha.
He has
That is
not
why
used
he's
the
not
word
using.
silent and inactive mind. Get it?
But still, it is the same, no? Silent mind.
It's the
bole
same.
to.
But then when it is silent, when there is no movement, then it is called self. Then it is not called mind. Then you have
Okay.
transcended mind.
अच्छा ठीक है नहीं now it's a play
नहीं
on
नहीं, it's
words
like
that's how
आप कहाँ से देख रहे हैं? If you look at it bottom up, तो आप
हाँ
कहेंगे माइंड साइलेंट हो गया, ठीक है?
correct
अगर आप
correct
उसको
correct
टॉप डाउन कहेंगे
correct
तो कहेंगे कि ये जो सेल्फ है ये इनएक्टिव है, and
got
then
it
it
got
takes
it
a step lower, it becomes the active mind.
yeah perfect it's you're looking from lower altitudes it is silent
Exactly.
mind if you look from higher
Exactly.
altitudes it is this yeah
Exactly.
makes
Exactly.
sense yeah
Exactly. Bottom up and top down. The Uttama is the Lord, the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Self. Lord के लिए the word is Ishvara, Supreme Brahman, Param Brahma, Supreme Self, Paramatman. The Uttama is the Lord, the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Self, who possesses both the immutable unity and the mobile multiplicity. इसमें जो ध्यान देने वाली बात है, so the Supreme Brahman, it is Brahman because everything is Brahman. Brahman, the most common definition of Brahman, most common क्या मतलब? The definition of Brahman is Ekameva Dvitiyam Brahma. There is Brahman alone, the one without a second. That comes in one of the Upanishads. Okay, but then the Supreme Brahman. This is the Supreme Brahman. सभी कुछ ब्रह्म है, but ये परम ब्रह्म है. Similarly, previously we have said silent and inactive self. This is the Supreme Self. Again, the word self is very useful for us. You know, I, the self, etc. We say myself. तो उसी myself का जो supreme poise है, that is the divine. What does this मतलब way of thinking do? It immediately and almost miraculously bridges the gap between yourself and the divine. There is no difference essentially between myself and the Supreme Self. It is the same self. It is just the poise of consciousness. When I know myself as a petty human being involved in the ignorance of the lower nature, then that is my, poor egoistic, avidya driven, maya driven self. Okay. But when slowly by the process of yoga I recover, then soham asmi, I am that same self. There is no difference. It is the same self. Again, वो कहने के लिए है, it's like जब experience में तो obviously it makes a huge difference and it takes multiple lifetimes. Anyway, the Uttama is the Lord, the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Self, who possesses both the immutable unity and the mobile multiplicity, who possesses both of them. If you want to, not a very good example, but if you want to take it that way, like, say coin hota hai. So the two sides of the coin. Imagine if you take one side as the frontal side, in that the motion is happening, and the back side as the silent side, which is the base of that. So these are the two faces, okay? But that is the coin itself. It is the coin itself. It is possessing both of them. Very, very simple example.
Yeah, the obverse and the reverse side
The
are.
obverse and the it's like that. And I am using this example mainly because that is what it is. The akshara is the base of the action of the akshara. The silence of the akshara is the foundation on which the activity of the akshara takes place. But both of these, when taken together, and it actually says anya. Anya इसलिए बोलते हैं because वो इन दोनों के beyond है. It's not the sum total of these. It is containing both of these. They are both there in it. ठीक है? वो ये बन गया है. He is perfectly free and perfectly transcendent, but he becomes that basically that immutable unity and that mobile multiplicity. They are two aspects of that supreme entity. This is how it should be understood. Okay. Now, it is by a large mobility and action of his nature, his energy, his will and power. To read it very slowly. It is by a large mobility and action of his nature, his energy, his will and power that he manifests himself in the world. And ये हो गया आपका अक्षर, ठीक है? And by a greater stillness and immobility of his being, that he is aloof from it. This is also what is called in the Life Divine as the materialistic denial and the refusal of the ascetic. So when you are in that materialistic denial mode, then you are in that kshara. वो पूरा बस वो play और energy और movement के अंदर आप हैं, ठीक है? But the refusal of the ascetic, though it is not the most complete and the greatest thing, but there is no doubt whatsoever, and he says it there also, it is greater than the materialistic denial. ये chapter 2 or 3 है Life Divine के. By a greater stillness and immobility of his being, that he is aloof from it. Yet is he, as the Purushottama, above. अब ये बात है ना असली. Both the aloofness from nature and the attachment to nature. He is above the aloofness also. He is not bound to remain aloof.
ट्रांसेंडेंट इसीलिए वर्ड यूज किया है ना पुरुषोत्तमा के लिए.
Yes. This is explained also in verse number 4 and 5. Explained माने mentioned in verse number 4 and 5 of the 9th chapter, but वहां पे उसको वो clearly नहीं बोलते हैं. But that is there. Those two verses cannot be understood without some anticipation of the transcendent aspect of the divine.
What is the meaning of materialistically denial?
Materialistic denial, basically the denial by the materialistic consciousness that only matter exists and nothing else except matter exists.
Oh.
Typically the Western world.
Yeah. Well, see, large part of humanity is materialistic.
Yeah.
West or
India.
East.
Yeah.
But India में the difference is कि It is matlab, shot through with the spiritual atmosphere. So, कहाँ गया? हाँ, yet is he as Purushottama above both the aloofness from nature and the attachment to nature. तो इसमें जो point to be understood है, one of the points to be understood, he is not attached to his aloofness. Like some of the sannyasis and tapasvis, etc., they get too attached to their detachment. हम इतने बड़े त्यागी हैं, हमने इतने दिन से इस चीज का स्पर्श नहीं किया, हमने ये नहीं किया, हमने वो नहीं किया, हम इतने डिटैच्ड हैं. सर, यू आर अटैच्ड टू योर डिटैचमेंट. You are having freedom, no doubt. You are greater than me, let's say. ठीक है? But you are not having that perfect freedom. And without this perfect freedom, that integral enjoyment of life, seeing the purpose of the creator behind the creation of the material universe, it is not possible without without this integral freedom of the Purushottama consciousness. Getting it? Above both the aloofness from nature and the attachment to nature. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. अबव द अलोफनेस ऑल्सो. अटैचमेंट टू नेचर तो ऑब्वियस है कि यू आर ट्रैप्ड इन द प्ले ऑफ नेचर. ट्रैप माने नहीं बोलना चाहिए. दीज आर नथिंग बट ग्रेडेशंस ऑफ आनंद. इट्स एन एवोल्यूशन विच इज हैपनिंग. ओके, सो इन द लोअर स्टेजेस फॉर मेनी लाइफ टाइम्स यू डोंट इवन रियलाइज. आप बस खा पी रहे हैं, मौज कर रहे हैं, कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है. तैत्तिरीय उपनिषद में अमंग द लेवल्स ऑफ आनंद, दिस इज द फर्स्ट लेवल एंड इट इज डिफाइंड लाइक दैट कि यू हैव ऑल द वेल्थ ऑफ द वर्ल्ड एट द डिस्पोजल. यू हैव ऑल द, उसमें विमेन का भी दिया है एट योर डिस्पोजल एटसेट्रा, वट एवर, एंड यू एंजॉय, कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है. दैट इज द ह्यूमन आनंद. मनुष्य, देन मनुष्य गंधर्व, देन देव गंधर्व, लाइक दैट इट प्रोसीड्स. उसमें डिटेल नहीं है कि वो आनंद का स्वरूप उसमें नहीं बताया, बट एटलीस्ट इट इज डिलिनिएटेड दैट दीज आर 11 levels of आनंद. इट्स वेरी, I don't know why it is not so well known, so I try to make it known.
So basically, Anmol bhai, Taittiriya Upanishad talks about Anandas at different levels, right?
उसका एक चैप्टर ब्रह्मानंद वल्ली, it is devoted to the subject of Ananda.
Okay.
Sri
Thank you.
Aurobindo calls it is the Vedanta's gospel of bliss. That Upanishad, it is the
Oh,
Vedanta's gospel of bliss.
beautiful.
Letters में एक जगह ये phrase है.
अच्छा, अच्छा.
The idea of the Purushottama, he as Purushottama above both the aloofness from nature and the attachment to nature. This idea of the Purushottama, though continually implied in the Upanishads, is like in the Isha Upanishad, that Purushottama is simply called Saha in verse number 8. Okay? Yosa vasau Purushaha soham asmi in verse number 16. तो वहां उसको पुरुष बोला गया. In verse number 8 simply सह माने ही, but वहां पे तो खैर it's not clearly, but वो वही है because सपर्यागात, it is he जो पहले आया था ना, his nature, his energy, his will and power that he manifests himself in the world, but it's implied. कठोपनिषद में वही अक्षरात परतः परः, like that.
Anmol,
Yeah.
on this Ishvara, Isha is, I thought the whole 18 verses are talking about Purushottama, right?
Yeah.
Because everything is Ishvara. There, what he's saying is, if you see from the first verse till the 18th verse, the description is of that ultimate Ishvara. And he's saying, like, I remember
Hey,
we used to do it with Anjali
not-
Di, that Eddie's, you are identifying yourself as whatever, but he's always aware of himself. And above both these, whatever you've just read in this line, is the essence of the Isha. So I'm surprised he's saying that the Upanishads do not spell out Isha is totally this.
नहीं, but where is the word पुरुषोत्तमा and this delineation and ये जो एकदम fine points जैसे गीता बता रही है कि this is the, वो है उसमें तदे जति तन्नय जति, it says, okay, that moves and that moves not. So that ejati is the kshara and that anejati is the akshara, but that's it. It is in such a cryptic way ना, तद ejati तद न ejati. क्या मतलब हुआ?
Yeah, that is true. It is very
हाँ, तो
cryptic.
it's very cryptic. That's all I'm trying to say. Some
Correct.
people, they even look it upon like that, कि the 18 verses of the Isha, they are sort of expanded into the 18 chapters of the Gita. I mean, I have heard this comment, and
But sounds very true, right? This
Sounds
does.
true. It's a little simplistic as a comment, but
Huh.
it is true. On the whole, it is true. वो यहाँ see, that's what I'm saying, though continually implied. So it's
Implied.
implied. And even in the, see, you straight away, Anjali ji, when she did the Isha Upanishad, so she didn't do it at first. She first covered the whole message of the Gita and then she took up. So you cannot take up the Upanishads immediately unless you are already of a very high, level of philosophical understanding. Anyway, so though continually implied in the Upanishads is disengaged and definitely brought out by the Gita and has exercised a powerful influence on the later developments of the Indian religious consciousness. Like, two of the most common. Ram is called Maryada Purushottam, Krishna is called Leela Purushottam. So that word very casually we use for them. But that is the mighty significance of the word. The significance that is given in the 15th chapter of the Gita. Clear? A बहुत important sentence है. In order to understand our own devotional mentality as Indians, या for that matter even जो world में जितने भी devotional religions जो भी उनका स्वरूप है, Christianity में हो, कहीं भी हो, ultimately, when they are having that kind of intense love for the divine, हर जगह हर रिलीजन में कुछ ना कुछ वो एलिमेंट आता है बिकॉज ह्यूमन नेचर इज ऑब्वियसली द सेम एवरीवेयर. विदाउट दिस अंडरस्टैंडिंग गॉड जिसको बोलते हैं ना वेरी सिंपली, that is this Purushottam. It's very important. I'll just read this once more, then we'll finish this chapter today most likely. This idea of the Purushottama, though continually implied in the Upanishads, is disengaged and definitely brought out by the Gita and has exercised a powerful influence on the later developments of the Indian religious consciousness. Yeah. It is the foundation, exactly. It is the foundation of the highest Bhakti Yoga, which claims to exceed the rigid definitions of monistic philosophy.
Yeah, can you exemplify this sentence? Meaning, कौन सी philosophy की बात कर रहे हैं?
अद्वैत की बात कर रहे हैं.
अद्वैत की बात तो
means
कर रहे हैं, पर इसमें स्पेसिफिकली कहाँ exceed rigid definitions का ये what is he hinting here at?
That's what, the rigid, which claims to exceed the rigid definitions of monistic philosophy. I don't know, मतलब the most rigid definition of monistic philosophy वही है, वो ब्रह्म सत्यम जगन मिथ्या वाला.
Okay, okay.
हाँ, basically उसमें even the Ishvara is put at a lower pedestal. The Ishvara has no reality in that philosophy. Ishvara is part of Maya in the monistic philosophy. Ishvara is not real. आप समझ रहे हैं?
मतलब ये शंकराचार्य वाले.
हाँ. Which claims to exceed the rigid definitions of monistic philosophy.
And foundation
Actually,
of the
honestly
highest.
speaking, foundation of the highest Bhakti Yoga is clear. Because, see, unless you have some kind of a supreme person, अच्छा एक बात बताओ, वो जो अक्षर ब्रह्म है, वो जो अक्षर पुरुष है, that sort of, just air basically, वो हवा है, ठीक है? There is no hold over it. आप उसको पकड़ नहीं सकते. How are you going to develop relations of bhakti with that being? Impossible.
Correct. So that is why Akshara, in 12th chapter begins with Arjuna's question, no? Personal God and impersonal God. This Akshara Purusha is impersonal God, no? If I were to...
Yes, correct.
Okay.
It is the foundation of the highest Bhakti Yoga, which claims to exceed the rigid definitions of monistic philosophy. Actually, to be honest, the thorough and elaborate answer for this can be given by somebody who has studied Shankaracharya commentaries very deeply, and then उनके बाद जो आए थे Ramanuj, because Ramanuj straight away he totally denounced Shankara. Denounced नहीं, मतलब he क्या करना चाहिए, उसका खंडन किया. Ramanuja's philosophy is basically Bhakti Yoga. आप अगर modern, if you want to trace the development of Bhakti in India, it actually traces back to the south. If you see the Bhagavad Puran, let's say, तो उसमें जो भक्ति का personification किया है in the earlier chapters, वो भक्ति कहती है कि मेरा जन्म द्रविड़ देश में हुआ था.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is quite amazing actually. I mean, I'm sorry to say this, even I am part of that category only, but there is such a taking for granted of our culture and religion and the एवोल्यूशन ऑफ आवर कल्चर, हम ध्यान ही नहीं देते, इवन इन बेसिक बातें हमें नहीं मालूम. वी जस्ट टेक इट सो मच, हमें कुछ पता ही नहीं है. वी आर सो ऑब्लिवियस ऑफ आवर cultural development, historical development, बस whatever reasons that is, but that is what it is. तो रामानुज का जो भक्ति का उन्होंने सारा सिद्धांत एस्टेब्लिश किया विशिष्ट अद्वैत के द्वारा, उसके बाद वो एक्सपैंड हुआ. एंड देन आई मीन इन द नॉर्थ द फर्स्ट ग्रेट मैन वाज somebody called रामानंद, एंड देन फिर और आए चैतन्य वाज द पीक ऑफ दैट एटसेट्रा. बट इट स्टार्टेड विद रामानुजा सॉर्ट ऑफ. उसके पहले देयर वाज अ भक्ति मूवमेंट इन साउथ इंडिया. द Alvars were there, Vaishnavite saints, and Nammalvars were there, Shaivite saints. But proper उसका जो philosophical formulation किया गया है, that was done first time by Ramanujacharya. But I have not studied them. I have books on them, but I have not been able to study. So
So even Adi Shankaracharya was from the south.
yeah,
So that means both the philosophies have come in from the
you can say
Dravid.
that. For that, actually, Sri Aurobindo actually says it in early cultural writings, volume 1, the Malavas करके ऐसे है कि जो Dravidian races हैं, the South Indian races, they are having that scholastic temperament. That level of scholastic temperament is not there in other races of India. Other races of India are having other faculties.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very
हाँ.
true. We even see that today.
It's a
As you,
fantastic 3.5 pages. Volume 1, I'll share the link, the Malavas. Page 152 पे है, volume 1 में. It gives the psychological sort of profiling, if you want to say, of 8 or 9 different subnations of India. It is fantastic. And there the word scholarly he uses for the South Indian. And so obvious when you meet
Very
some
true.
South Indian friends and all, they're
Yeah.
genuinely scholastic. Genuinely scholastic.
No, it's in the genes. It's in the genes.
Exactly. It has become part of the genes. Anyway, 858. It is at the back of the philosophy of the devotional Puranas.
Yes. Can you explain this a little bit? Elaborate on this.
Devotional Puranas, again,
हाँ.
जैसे भागवत पुराण है.
हाँ, पुरुषोत्तमा is a नारायण ना, उसमें नारायण है ना.
Again,
हाँ.
see, पुरुष, be a little more flexible. ठीक है, devotional Puranas में शैव पुराण भी आएगा. Okay.
अच्छा.
So,
हाँ.
when you are saying Purushottama, in very simple words, you are saying the supreme person. Now that supreme person, a Shaivite, let's say, he will call him Sadashiva और महादेव. उनके यहाँ वो अलग अलग होता है, वो सदाशिव होता है, एक पराशिव होता है, वो अलग अलग होता है. बट बेसिकली फॉर हिम शिवा इज द सुप्रीम पर्सन. ठीक है,
करेक्ट.
जो गणपति संप्रदाय है महाराष्ट्र में, फॉर दैट गणपति इज द सुप्रीम.
करेक्ट, यू आर राइट.
राइट. कुछ जगह पे हनुमान इज द सुप्रीम.
हाँ, बराबर.
कुछ जगह पे कार्तिकेय इज द सुप्रीम. जो देवी का पुराण है उसमें देवी इज द सुप्रीम. दिस इज ऑल द प्ले ऑफ द, वही जो ओवर माइंड जिसको बोलते हैं ना, ऑल दीज डिफरेंट great gods, they have their own universe, so to speak. ठीक है, और एक एक पुराण उन गॉड को डिवोटेड है. दैट इज व्हाई अनलेस यू, आई मीन आई एम सेइंग दिस विद ग्रेट हैप्पीनेस, कि अनलेस यू कम इन कॉन्टैक्ट विद श्री अरबिंदोज terminology of supermind, his explanation, and you spend some time, आसानी से समझ में नहीं आएगा वो क्या कह रहे हैं. It can even मतलब outrage you कि what is he saying suddenly. There is something greater than Krishna, there is something greater than Shiva, but gradually you understand. So when all these gods, goddesses, etc., when you understand that they are all the overmind level and all these are perfectly reconciled in the supramental level, तब हिंदू रिलीजन का, पुरानास का, फिलोसफीज वगैरह का जो सारा कंफ्यूजन है ना, कंफ्यूजन इज देयर. आई एम टेलिंग यू, पीपल ट्राई टू मतलब pretend as if there is no confusion. Confusion is there. I even dare say somebody who has not read Sri Aurobindo seriously, वो अपने आप को डिल्यूट करेगा कि मुझे क्लैरिटी है. बिना श्री अरविंदो को पढ़े क्लैरिटी नहीं आ सकती, नहीं आ सकती, नहीं आ सकती.
I totally
I don't
agree.
want to sound like a fanatic, but I mean I have been studying for 20 years and quite rigorously. I am telling you, नहीं आ सकती. And अच्छा, इसमें भी एक बात है, पता है, it was Sri Aurobindo's job to bring this clarity. It is only the supramental avatar. Yes, Satyam Jnanam Jyotir Auravinda. इसके पहले वो perfect knowledge हुआ ही नहीं था embody. उसके पहले it's all preparation. You think Vaishnavism is a small thing? और शैविज्म इज अ स्मॉल थिंग. अगर आप वैष्णविज्म को ही रियलाइज कर लो 2 जन्म में भी तो बहुत बड़ी बात है.
No, I'm
या
not
इफ यू
saying
गेट अ
small,
ग्लिम्स
but
ऑफ
they are
शिवा इट्स
also
अ ह्यूज थिंग.
they are also warring amongst themselves.
But
ये जो
नहीं
reconciliation
नहीं
जो
नहीं नहीं
हुआ,
नहीं नहीं नहीं. आई एम ट्राइंग टू बैलेंस व्हाट आई सेड.
हाँ,
So, on the one hand, it is absolutely clear in my mind that that crystal clarity, that reconciliation of all the different aspects of Hinduism, all the world religions actually, वो सारा का सारा आपको शिव अरबिंदो में ही मिलेगा, बिना उसके आपको नहीं मिलेगा. ये बात पक्की है, ठीक है. बट एट द सेम टाइम, all these religions, all these philosophies वगैरह, they have played a great role in our evolution, in our previous births, in that of humanity. तो उनको डाउन प्ले नहीं करना चाहिए.
नहीं
But
नहीं,
yeah,
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
नहीं,
that.
I'm just correcting, I'm just balancing.
हाँ.
Don't want
Anmol
to
bhai,
sound
I'll
like a
just make
fanatic.
one comment here
Please, sir.
that if you look at the wisdom of Kabir,
Yes, sir.
and if you look at the simplicity in a couple of couplets, what
Yeah.
he's said,
Yeah.
and if you see this, it stood the test of time.
Yeah.
500 years later, also
Very true.
everything. So
Yeah, very
my humble submission is that once you are connected to divinity, and once you're connected to the supreme, it's like, you are connected to the most supercomputer, the most powerful knowledge base. Everything is visible, everything is known.
Correct.
But to make it available, I think where Shri Aurobindo, and I completely agree with whatever you've said, that you make it like an encyclopedia of knowledge to the level of detail of any query and a response. Nobody's done it like Shri Aurobindo. That I agree, completely agree.
So,
But
just to
the
support
point that
you,
there were individuals who understood
doubt.
it to that same level were
I'll-
people like Kabir. I'm sure
I'll
he
try
understood.
I'll try to support you. So, कबीर का ही आई थिंक कि पोथी पढ़ पढ़, क्या है वो, जग समथिंग, पंडित भयो न कोय, 2.5 अक्षर प्रेम के पढ़े सो पंडित होए, राइट. कि इफ यू हैव सब कुछ पढ़ लिया, सब कुछ कर लिया, बट आपके अंदर यदि वो प्रेम जागृत नहीं हुआ, देन इट इज ऑल यूजलेस. व्हाट डज श्री अरबिंदो राइट ऑन द लास्ट लाइन ऑफ सावित्री, हिज मेजर थिंग, हिज मेजर बुक, बिगेस्ट बुक? टू फील लव एंड वननेस इज टू लिव. तो अगर आप उसको उस तरह देखें तो एसेंशियली देयर इज नो डिफरेंस इन द मैसेज.
Beautiful, beautiful. Anmol bhai, this statement that you made, I can listen to it for 24 hours on loop. So beautiful. बहुत सुंदर.
नहीं, thank you for that compliment.
So
Yeah.
what was the line by Sri Aurobindo?
To
live,
feel love and oneness is to live.
to feel love and oneness is to live. Wow.
प्रेम और एकत्व को महसूस करना ही जीना है. Right?
Thank you. Very nice.
Yeah.
नहीं, और ये जो आप जो बोले ना,
I think we'll do the next two paragraph next time only.
Yeah, we should do the next 2 paragraphs
We
next time.
cannot hurry in such a thing. It's not.
नहीं, please don't hurry. This
We
is
can in
not.
fact dwell on this more, and any questions, any sharing, anything, comments,
Yeah.
comments, we can have a free now.
Anmol,
Yeah.
see, I am understanding the Akshara Purusha and the Purushottama better. मुझे शरा पुरुषा थोड़ा सा आप और समझा सकते हो?
Shara is
Because I
same
somehow
Purusha.
always, हाँ जी,
हाँ. So, okay.
हाँ,
आप क्षरा को यहाँ दोबारा पढ़ो सर, क्या लिखा है?
हाँ,
That the guru is Sri Aurobindo, right? Shara is the mobile, the mutable, ठीक है? It is the multiplicity. आप 3 M पकड़ के चलो. वो मोबाइल है, म्यूटेबल है, मल्टीप्लिसिटी है, ठीक है? And it is the Purusha which is involved in Prakriti. वो प्रकृति.
How is it involved in Prakriti?
Yes, how is it involved? It enters into the Prakriti. वही वो साइकिक बीइंग वाली एनालॉजी फिर देनी पड़ेगी कि जो सेंट्रल बीइंग है जीवात्मन है वो ऊपर ही रहता है, प्रिसाइड करता है केवल, और जो साइकिक बीइंग है वो नीचे आता है, एंड इट बिकम्स पार्ट ऑफ द मैनिफेस्टेशन. वी कैन टेक हेल्प ऑफ दैट टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. एंड अच्छा, बाय द वे, व्हाई इज इट नेसेसरी फॉर द पुरुषा टू बिकम क्षर? व्हाई? विदाउट हिम आई एग्जिस्ट नॉट. अगर वो पुरुषा का एलिमेंट नहीं हो ना, प्रकृति का कोई अस्तित्व ही नहीं है उसके सिवा. तो इवन वो जो अपरा प्रकृति है उसको सपोर्ट करने के लिए अगर क्षर पुरुषा नहीं होगा, या फिर जो पुरुषा है वो क्षर पॉइज नहीं लेगा, ठीक है, इट कैनॉट एग्जिस्ट. इज इट अंडरस्टूड? ये बहुत डीप चीजें हैं. दे कैन ओनली बी प्रॉपर्ली अंडरस्टूड बाय very intense sadhana.
Can I say something here? Can I say?
Please. There is no need to take permission.
हाँ सरिता जी, एक पीछे के जो इसके बाद वाला पैराग्राफ है ना, वहाँ एक बहुत क्रिटिकल लाइन है वो मुझे उससे आपको देखिए बहुत पता चल जाएगा. But this is only the lower prakriti of the three modes: the inconscient, the apparent. There is a higher, a supreme, a conscient, and divine nature. And it is that which has become the individual soul, the jiva. जो आपका ये प्रश्न है ना, तो इससे ये आंसर हो जाएगा कि अक्षरा वाला इंडिविजुअल सोल अक्षरा का जो बात कर रहे हैं आप पूछ रहे
नहीं, अक्षरा आई एम अंडरस्टैंडिंग.
अच्छा
So,
सॉरी देन
Sarita.
mutable is which is changing,
Yes.
and mobile is
वही मोबाइल मतलब चलायमान, जो गतिशील है, जिसमें जगत जैसे बोलते हैं ना, दैट विच इज हैविंग मोशन.
okay.
हाँ. अच्छा, अंडरस्टैंड इन दिस वे कि without the presence of the Purusha, the Prakriti cannot exist. It needs that upholder in it. So the Kshara is the upholder. It is the Bharta of the Prakriti.
It's a stage, and the Prakriti is the dancer.
Again, जो stage होती है वो move नहीं करती है.
हाँ, so that's what I'm trying to understand, because
I
what
know.
Anjali had explained to us,
हाँ.
कि Purusha is the stage, which is the immobile, which is the foundation.
We have gone beyond that already. We have now gone beyond the simple words Purusha and Prakriti. Now we are thread-bearing them into three words separately. Okay. Now you should narrow down on the word Kshara Purusha and try to understand that, and how that Kshara Purusha, see again why, कि कैसे बोला जाए, मतलब the power, the ananda, the consciousness, all that is part of the Purusha. Again, ultimately देखा जाए तो पुरुष और प्रकृति भी अलग अलग नहीं है, right? But in this threadbare analysis basically you can say कि जो पुरुषा की लाइट है, जो कॉन्शियसनेस है, in the Kshara form, that light, that consciousness, that is being lent to the Prakriti. Again, मैं आपको एक और तरीके से समझाता हूं. जैसे चित शक्ति वर्ड होता है, ठीक है, कॉन्शियसनेस फोर्स. तो that chit part you can take as Purusha. Shakti is obviously the Prakriti, the feminine aspect. So it is that awareness, that consciousness behind the movements of nature, ताकि वो बिखर ना जाए. Something like wisdom, you could say. Difficult to extricate the two. It's not easy.
Okay.
Not easy.
I'm getting it. I'm sort of understanding. Yeah.
But basically, what I can understand is कि उसका वो वाला poise है as the silent and stable and all that, right? But when the Prakriti is projected from it, it does not leave the Prakriti to go on its own way. You know, Savitri mein jaise it is shown as sort of the love affair between the he and the she. You know, without him, wo nahi kuch kar sakta, वगैरह वगैरह इस type से. So he follows her. He follows that Prakriti in her movements, and he's there supporting her and gets totally involved and forgets himself in the movements of the Prakriti. Basically, they're inseparable.
Okay.
Like that. Something like that. Clear?
Yeah, I'm understanding.
जो सावित्री का पैसेज लास्ट टाइम शेयर हुआ था, I think ending with the sentence, the whole wide world is he and she. If you read that again and again in मतलब very beautiful poetic form, etc., so more clarity can come simply just by reading that also. That is the power inherent in Savitri.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Welcome. Anybody else? नहीं? ठीक है, we'll close with silence.